Champs coming away with a 6-5 victory earlier this afternoon against Princeton. Jamie, a great matchup today. Yale back in the big dance for the first time in 2 decades. For Notre Dame, 7th straight tournament appearance. What can we expect from this matchup?
Well, Yale, they're red hot. They've won 9 straight, and they dominated play in the Ivy Championships against Cornell and Princeton. This team wins faceoffs. They play smart team defense. They're scoring goals, and more than anything, this team plays hard. As for Notre Dame, Quint was saying it, defense, defense, defense. They have the best defense in Division I. Their offense has struggled a little bit, but I believe that if they can get into a rhythm, they're going to have a chance not only to win today, but to really compete for a national championship.
As we take a look at the edge, it's the ultimate battle between offense and defense. We've got a good one. Matt Gibson of Yale going up against the Big East Conference goalie of the year in John Kemp.
John Kemp leading the nation in goals allowed average, leading the nation in save percentage. This kid makes every save he's supposed to make and then robs shooters of what should have been goals. He is the unquestionable anchor of the defense. And Matt Gibson, an all-around great attackman, 27 goals and 29 assists. He's slick, he's left-handed, he can finish, he can feed, and he can put some pressure on dodging. He and Dempster are going to put some pressure on the Notre Dame defense.
Andy Shea in his 9th season with Yale. Arguably the last 3 years have been amazing for this program, 31-12, including the Ivy League championship. Kevin Corrigan coming into his 26th season, 24th at Notre Dame, the Big East Coach of the Year, leading the Irish once again to another NCAA tournament appearance. Yale in their road blue, out of the Ivy League, the Big East runner-up, the regular season Big East champs, rather, in Notre Dame. In their gold jerseys, the officials for today, Hans Wittelsberger, Matt Palum, and Mike Highland. As Dylan Levings and Liam O'Connor, a battle of sophomores here at the Face-Off X. It's still a scramble for it as finally Notre Dame would come away with the opening face-off victory. Notre Dame coming into the season 11-2, 6-0 in the Big East, the regular season Big East champs.
So important for Notre Dame to win face-offs. They've been about 50% on the season. Yale has been up in the mid-60s. And Notre Dame is now going to be able to get their offense initiated, whereas a lot of teams tend to hold the ball on them, which takes away from their offensive flow.
Notre Dame, a team that early in the season against Duke lost one of their captains, Nicholas Beatty, to a leg injury. He has since returned on a game-by-game basis, though. And that has meant the play of Sean Rogers and the freshman Connor Doyle to pick up on the attack core. As Jim Marlette, the sophomore, bring it inside the box for the Irish. Set up pass as a slip by Marlette. Shot put on the cage by the sophomore as Jack Meyer coming up with the save. And Jamie, your keys today for Notre Dame to try to get victory.
Well, number one is to shut down the Yale attack. Yale's attack has done the major amount of production, especially as of late. And then secondly, offensive efficiency. In the case that they don't get a ton of possessions, they need to make sure that they score at a high proficiency rate.
Set up pass, shot back of the net. Notre Dame gets on the board first. Sean Rogers, the senior, gives the Irish the 1-0 lead.
So this is exactly what Notre Dame was hoping for. Dodging, drawing slides, and shooting the ball on cage. Good velocity, really very solid offensive set and possession for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
18th goal of the season for the senior Rogers on the assist by Marlette. The sophomore, the assist leader for this Irish team, with now 10 on the season. And just the start that the Irish wanted to have here at home. Face-off this time won by the sophomore Levings. As we take a look at the first offensive trip for the Yale Bulldogs, 11-4 on the season, 4-2 in the Ivy League, but it was their 2 games in that Ivy League tournament where they knocked off Cornell and Princeton to win their first conference title. Jamie, they were certainly impressive with 29 goals scored in that span.
The combination of the 2 attackmen were just absolutely incredible. Gibson and Dempster connecting on 8 goals. 8 goals and 8 assists for each of those for each of those guys in the win against Cornell.
Top of the box shot that's just missed off the stick of Greg Mahoney. As we take a look now, Jamie, at your keys for Yale to try to come up with the upset on the road.
And the first key for Yale is going to be winning faceoffs, and so far here today they're 1-1. The second key is to get to 10. If they can get to 10 goals, I believe they're going to be able to pull off the upset, which is a tall order because Notre Dame has only given up 9 on a few occasions on the whole season.
This Notre Dame defense ranking #1 in the country in goals against average, 5.92 they've allowed. As a quick inside pass misses, scooped up ground ball taken away by the Irish. As Bobby Smith, the long stick midfielder, loses it for a moment. And a ground ball pickup on the clearing attempt for Notre Dame. That pass nearly intercepted by Ryan McCarthy as the ball loose at the midfield line. Ground balls will be a battle. It's scooped up by McCarthy. And a reset for the offense for this Yale team.
Yale is a scrappy team. You saw them put the ball on the ground twice on that last Notre Dame clearing attempt, and they were able to get it back. If Yale can keep up that type of intensity and get extra possessions due to their scrappiness and ground ball play, it's going to give them a much better chance to score goals.
Colin Still, the senior, with possession for Yale, who's in a unfamiliar territory. First time in 3 games that the Bulldogs have trailed. They raced out to a 5-0 lead against Cornell, and then a 4-0 lead against Princeton. As this defense for Notre Dame continues to work on this offense against Yale. Shane Thornton, the freshman midfielder, right wing. Marked by Eric Kepler. As he gives it up top, shot low. Kemp comes up with a save off the play by Still. Second chance does not go. And the ground ball pickup, and back on the offense come Notre Dame. As Kepler coming up with the ground ball, gets it inside the box. As Connor Doyle, the freshman attacker, Coach Corrigan has relied on after the injury to Beatty.
Yale is a quick sliding, quick double teaming style of defense, which I believe plays into Notre Dame's hands. If they continue to slide the way they did in the last possession, Notre Dame is going to find some good shot opportunities.
Pat Cotter to give up to Will Corrigan, the freshman. Part of this third midfield line that arguably is one of the best of all the teams in the NCAA tournament. As Cotter finds a wide open Hopkins in front. Notre Dame has a 2-0 lead. Westy Hopkins coming up with his 15th goal of the season, and the Irish extend their lead to 2-0.
Yale likes to slide early. It causes all of their defenders to have to rotate, and in this case, with 2 passes, Notre Dame was able to find a sneaking player.
All right, let's take a look at our player portfolio brought to you by Sector Spiders. Westy Hopkins, now 15 goals on the season, had a hat trick, Jamie, in the quarterfinal matchup last year versus Duke, and now has 5 career goals in 2 tournament games for the Irish.
Hopkins an all-around solid attackman. Very good quickness and dodging ability, and as you can see, moves off the ball very well, sneaks and finishes.
Levings with a second straight face-off victory for Yale. Down 2-0 here early in the first quarter. Matt Gibson, team leader in points and assists, talking this week saying that the win by St. John's is a blueprint for how to beat Notre Dame, calling the Irish not invincible anymore after that loss. Colin Flaherty now sends it inside the box as Gibson sends it over on the left wing. McCarthy backs away for a moment, marked by the defensive midi and Devin Dobson. Shot low, and Kemp comes up with the save once again. And that has been a trademark for the junior goalkeeper, is able to stop those low-angle shots. And another clearing attempt by the Irish as they get it to the midline.
Notre Dame does a great job of crowding your dodges and helping both adjacent and from the crease. In that case, Yale did not penetrate at all, and it was one of the routine saves for the All-American Cup.
Doyle on the left wing, marked by the freshman Harry Kacharzik.
Left side of your screen, you're going to see Yale pulling the trigger, trying to shoot a screenshot, but a routine save for the All-American Kemp.
Kemp, who comes in as the Big East goalie of the year, ranks #1 in goals against average and save percentage. As Yale's gotten able 5 shots, but another one that goes for the Irish, and they have a 3-0 lead. Connor Doyle, the freshman, the third different attackman to come up with a goal, and Notre Dame has a 3-0 lead early.
Here Doyle dodging, slides coming, and all of a sudden, confusion. Who's sliding, who's staying, and all of a sudden you got Doyle wide open shooting the shot with literally nobody on it.
Hey, let's go 4-5.
Coach Andy Shea not liking what he sees. A timeout on the field as we will take one as well. It has been all Notre Dame in the first couple of minutes. A 3-0 lead. More first quarter action when we return.
San Diego State, football. Nebraska, baseball.
USC, soccer. At Enterprise Rent-A-Car, we hire more new college graduates every year than any other company.
And many of us played college sports too.
Like me.
Like me. And me.
Now we're all on the same team. Yours.
Enterprise is proud to be an official corporate partner of the NCAA. Teamwork. Let us show you what that means.
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
The NCAA Lacrosse Championship is presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. We'll pick you up. And in part by Sector Spider ETFs. Visit them on the web at sectorspiders.com.
Welcome back to South Bend, Indiana, where #4 Notre Dame has a 3-0 lead over the Yale Bulldogs with 8:05 left here to go in the first quarter. Tonight at 7:30 Eastern, the Terps take on the #7 seeded Lehigh Mountain Hawks. The NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championship presented by Enterprise Rent-A-Car on ESPNU, ESPN3, and live on Watch ESPN tonight. And that should be a very intriguing matchup. Lehigh, the Patriot League champs, going up against the national runners-up, Jamie, from Maryland. Should be a very good matchup later tonight.
Kevin Cassis at Lehigh doing an unbelievable job building a program there, and in a short period of time got himself a home game in the NCAA tournament and a great chance to win his first NCAA tournament game.
One category Yale has dominated on has been at the face-off X. Third straight face-off win by Levings, as Yale looks to try to strike the scoreboard here in this first quarter.
Yale needs to crack the code of the Notre Dame defense. Notre Dame likes to help from inside, and many times there are opportunities for inside looks. Look for them to try to draw a slide and find Dempster on the interior.
As Yale works it back inside the box, Thornton at the point for Yale. Coach Corrigan saying that this top-ranked defense can be a victim to its offense because of the fact that they can hold opponents for so long, not giving as many chances, but a forced turnover as it's picked off by Bobby Smith. And another clearing attempt coming up for the Irish as they quickly get it in transition past the midline.
Yale went for the interior feed, but they didn't draw the defense. They didn't make them slide.
Shot on the run, bounce shot that finds the back of the net. As Notre Dame continues to build on their lead, Jack Deere Jr., the freshman, coming through. 4-0, Notre Dame on top.
Disastrous start for Yale here in transition. Attacking the wing when the defense isn't ready. Yale is normally a sliding team. No help because there's not enough men on the field. The most dangerous time to dodge is during substitutions when there are fewer than 6 defenders on the field.
Fourth different goal scorer for Notre Dame, and Coach Kevin Corrigan has to be happy with the start that the Irish has had here in this opening quarter. Now ground ball battle in front as Stephen O'Hara picks it up. Second on the team and caused turnovers is O'Hara, the sophomore, and another forced turnover. Gives the Irish back possession here with 6:35 left to go in this first quarter. Notre Dame capitalizing on 4 of their 5 shots as Max Pfeiffer, the senior midfielder, with possession.
Yale has played solid team defense all year, and so far in this game, they just haven't been coordinated, and it's really hurt them.
Set up pass to Pfeiffer off of the stick by Marlette as he gets it back inside the box. As he was marked by Michael Pratt, a short stick D midi. As Foley, the junior, working his way through a double team. Doyle 1 goal so far. As Pfeiffer on the near side gives it back off, so now Notre Dame's offense much more patient with under 6 minutes left to go in this first quarter. Hopkins makes a beeline towards the cage and set backs it away. And now Foley tries to go with the slingshot that misses. Now a scramble for it and a turnover that gives possession to Yale.
It was a turnover that was unforced, but I'll tell you, it was a good possession so far. Notre Dame is sharp. They look fast. They're banging the ball, and they're absolutely playing the kind of lacrosse that Coach Corrigan knows they can. This is just a little bit of an unlucky play. Otherwise, I would say Kevin Corrigan would be happy with how his team's playing right now.
Jack Meyer in the cage, the sophomore for Yale, a 9-4 record. Has a couple of all-team Ivy League selections, and Harry Kacharzik, as well as Peter Johnson, helping him out. Take a look at the shots disparity. Notre Dame leads that 6-5, as well as saves. Kemp has 2 on the day. The Irish also winning the ground ball battle. But it's been face-offs that have been key for Yale to try to break through and get on the scoreboard.
And get on the scoreboard is something that Yale's going to have to do very soon. It's hard enough to play from behind against Notre Dame. They've got to chip away at this thing starting very soon. Cully with some strong defense against McCarthy. As Randall tries to help on the double team. Darren Dempster, who has been quiet here in this opening couple of minutes, 33 goals the junior attacker had coming into this game, 31 of those in the last 9 games. As Gibson sends it in front, and Dempster gets Yale on the board. The Gibson-Dempster connection works again, and a 4-1 lead now for the Irish. Yale in their big little invert. That means an attackman and a midi behind the net. Doing what we talked about in the open, they have to be able to draw the defensive attention of Notre Dame. They do so, and Gibson's able to find Dempster on the interior with Notre Dame halfway sliding and helping. Dempster and Gibson both were critical in the Cornell victory. Dempster had 8 goals in that game. Gibson had 8 assists. How critical is it, Jamie, for that duo to start coming together right now for Yale? Well, we talked about in our keys that NotreAme needed to shut down the Yale attack. And if Yale's going to be able to win this game, it's going to be just the opposite. They're going to have to play great, and that's a great start for them. It's not too late for them to get right back in this game. Levings again with the face-off win as Yale charges back into the box. The defense of Notre Dame, the first goal that they've allowed since the 3rd quarter of their loss against St. John's. And Jamie, that was the interesting thing about it was 20 minutes. St. John's only produced 1 shot and still able to come away with an 8-7 victory. Still shows how strong the defense is for Notre Dame. You got to love the way these guys play and help. Their defense is constantly creeping and helping and crowding and basically playing together. Bangan trying to set it up in front. Again, some stingy defense as Bobby Smith with the long pole working to create the turnover. And the ground ball pass picked up by Flaherty, who gets it quickly into the box as we approach 3 minutes left to go in this first quarter. Gibson marked by Randall. One of the more intriguing matchups in this game. Yale's going back to their invert where they feel like they can draw that crease in and try to find Dempster on the inside. Shot on the run, back to the cage as Brandon Mangan gets the 2nd goal for Yale. Back-to-back for them, and the Bulldogs down by 2. What a play by Mangan, coming hard. Most teams get into a straight-up defensive posture of a zone that plays against inverts. Notre Dame doesn't change. They always play the same style of defense. In some cases, like here, they get a late slide, and it allows Yale to know if we come hard, there might not be a slide, especially since they just kicked one inside last time.
25th goal of the season for Mangan. Had 2 goals in that first quarter against Princeton in the Ivy League championship game. And a big reason why the Yale has come back has been their win at the face-off X, and this time it's Notre Dame coming away with the victory. Tyler Anderson, the junior defender, sets it up for Notre Dame. Kemp outside of the box. On the charge, here comes Notre Dame's offense once again. As Pat Cotter on the left wing. Marked by Pratt. As Corrigan will take it top of the box as we approach 2 minutes left here to play in this first quarter between the Ivy League champs of Yale and 4th-seeded Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Now's the time for Yale to settle in and play the team defense that they're capable of, which means they're going to slide, but they're going to pack it in and recover. And they're going to make you make several passes, and by the time you do, you should be recovered.
Cotter able to get away from Pratt. As Peter Johnson was marking Connor Doyle on the last play. Corrigan back up top. As the Irish look to break this mini 2-goal scoring streak by Yale. Has gotten them within 2. Strong defense by Yale, coming in ranked 16th in the nation, allowing 8.9 goals per game. Corrigan off the double team.
That was great defense. That's what I was talking about. They slid, they recovered, they made Notre Dame make several passes.
Stall warning now for Notre Dame as Doyle behind the cage. Under a minute left here to play in this first quarter.
Yale has now found their defensive rhythm in this game.
Shot that misses. As Doyle will keep it. Stall warning in effect. Notre Dame has to keep it inside the box. In traffic as Doyle comes away. That ends the stall warning. A nice job by the defense for Yale to come away with a positive opportunity leading to the offense. Pratt going through but loses possession as Randall comes up with a stick check. And a ground ball picked up by Dobson. Notre Dame has numbers with 13 seconds left to go. Shot low, saved by Meyer, the sophomore coming through.
What a save by Meyer. Coach Shea, you know, his save percentage is just under 50%. But this kid makes the right save at the right time. His overtime save percentage is 90+%.
What was a slow start for the Yale Bulldogs, they have come back to cut the lead to 2, 4-2, as we come back with second quarter action. Action just about to get underway at Arlotta Stadium has 4th-seeded Notre Dame on top of Yale 4-2. Early on, the defense for Notre Dame was strong, Jamie, but Yale coming back with some of their sharpshooters.
They went down 4-0, the Bulldogs did, but they didn't blink, taking advantage now of the way that Notre Dame will slide early out of the crease or not slide at all, and so they're right back in this game.
Coach Andy Shea and his team coming in with a 9-game win streak, the longest in 22 years for Yale. Early on, thought that win streak was in doubt, but 2 straight goals by Yale has them right back into this game. As a ground ball won by Notre Dame as Liam O'Connor, the sophomore face-off specialist, getting it into the box. That first quarter, Jamie, ground ball battle won by Notre Dame 14-7, and a decisive reason why has been the play of this defense.
Well, all year long, this defense just doesn't give up much. Coach Corrigan once said, hey, it takes more than one guy making a mistake for us to be scored on. They are the consummate team defense. They're all looking to help. And if their offense can click, I really do believe they can win it all.
Michael Pratt pushing his way through against the sophomore Marlette, who had an assist in that first quarter. As they continue to dominate at home, Notre Dame, you look at the numbers, 39-4. since 2006, so very happy as Coach Corrigan to have home field advantage in this first round. Pfeiffer on point, sends it right wing to Marlatt. Thought about the shot on the run. Sid backs away as Doyle tries to low angle it and gets the shot to go past Meyer. And Notre Dame back on top by 3, 5-2.
Notre Dame's offense is at its best when there's movement in motion. And here Doyle with a short stick on him, posts up, no slide, and shoots a screen shot around his man that the goalie just couldn't see until it was too late.
Doyle, his second goal tonight, 11th on the season, and he has been an impact player as a freshman for this attack core for the Irish, as Leving's able to come away with the face-off victory, the first for Yale in the second quarter. Dobson able to come up with the nice defensive stop for the moment as Yale resets their offense. Dempster with a goal, Gibson with an assist for the Bulldogs, looking to come up with a huge victory after shocking a lot of people in the lacrosse world with wins over Cornell and Princeton. Pure domination, many have said, in that Ivy League tournament.
They were on fire to a degree that I think even they were surprised about when they looked up at the scoreboard and they were up 13-4 on Cornell and putting 15 goals on Princeton. And they're hoping for that same type of effort and output here today.
Gibson marked by Randall as a defensive player of the year in the Big East. Trying to come up with a defensive stop against Gibson. The senior attacker set up pass to Dempster that finds the back of the cage. Another goal by this duo, and the deficit is back down to 2.
Wow, talk about slickness. Look at Gibson leaning and feeling and probing, waiting for a slide to come, and then finding the Dempster on the inside, who catches that ball with a strong hand, gets a stick back to the inside for increased angle. Great play.
This duo coming up again. The second strike by Dempster, who earlier in the season missed some time with a concussion, but has been a force for the Bulldogs. And only a junior, the sharpshooter from Ontario, coming up with his second goal of the game. Levings wins the face-off battle. A key one for the Bulldogs.
Winning face-offs will allow you to come back in a game or will stop another team's comeback. We talked about that as one of the keys, and it absolutely is. If they can get possession, they're going to be able to have some opportunities. This is a cagey, really slick bunch of players for Yale.
Levings, who's 4th in the nation in face-off percentage, winning nearly 64% of the draws. As Yale right back into this. Bulldogs winning the face-off battle 6-4.
Big question is, can Yale sustain this level of smart play? You know, they're playing well, but they only got 3 goals on the board. They're going to have to do this in each and every quarter.
Gibson behind the cage, wrapping himself around the crease as Mangan thought about the shot for a moment. That one nearly taken away by Cully, and a battle for it. The Men's College Lacrosse Championship heads to Foxborough, Massachusetts, with the action beginning Saturday, May 26th at 2:30 Eastern, live on ESPN2. For more information on the 2012 Men's NCAA Division I College Lacrosse Championship, go to ncaa.com, the official online home for all 89 NCAA championships.
Yale is now trying to establish some attack from their midfield, which is smart because if you keep trying to attack from behind at all times, it will play into Notre Dame's hands. Their defense will start to get a beat on it.
The freshman Thornton trying to nudge his way through against the junior Cully. And a stall warning, the first one on the day for Yale. They must keep it inside the box or there will be a turnover on this Bulldogs offense. Randall with a couple stick checks on Gibson. Shot that just misses wide right off the play by Thornton. Stall warning remains in effect still for Yale. As Mangan tries to battle his way through. Nice play by the sophomore Stephen O'Hara. O'Hara has really come on for this defense in his first year in the starting lineup. Now the freshman, Colin Clarity, has to back his way out, gives it off to Gibson. Now a double team by Notre Dame's offense. Set up pass up front. That misses as Mangan turns it over. A quick reset for Notre Dame.
Andy Shea with a very intelligent timeout. Had he not called timeout on that violation of the stall warning, Notre Dame was going in with massive numbers, and it was a sure opportunity for a goal.
A back and forth battle between the Ivy League champs of Yale and number 4 Notre Dame. More action in the second quarter. Come back.
For some teams, it's a dream realized. For others, another step on the road to a national title.
She's the best hitter in the Big 12. They are going to need her to go far in the postseason.
The NCAA Softball Championship Selection Show, tonight at 10 on ESPNU.
Anish Shroff in studio. Coming up on the Warrior Halftime Report, we'll show you how Virginia, the defending champs, outlasted Princeton in Charlottesville. Johns Hopkins dominant in its first-round win over Stony Brook, and we'll preview the Lehigh-Maryland game later tonight. That Lehigh-Maryland tilt, the last of the 8 first-round games on the ESPN networks. Looking at the top half of the bracket, Loyola Denver on to the quarterfinals. Virginia gets the winner of the game you're watching, Yale and Notre Dame. John?
Anish, thank you very much. 4th-seeded Notre Dame having all they can handle with Yale, a 5-3 lead with 9:56 left to play in the second quarter. Let's take a look at some of the headlines across the NCAA Lacrosse. And first up, number 1 Loyola going into the next round with a convincing win over Canisius.
Yeah, their talent was just too much at the end of the day for Canisius.
3rd-seeded Duke coming away with another victory against Big East defending champion Syracuse. They're on to the quarterfinals. Denver coming up with an upset win over 8th-ranked North Carolina. Colgate doing the same, downing number 6 UMass. And earlier today, UVA, the defending champs, heading back to Philadelphia as they were able to knock off Princeton. The winner of this game will meet Virginia in that quarterfinal matchup in the upper bracket. Back to action with 9:45 left to play. Notre Dame looking to come up with an answer here in this second quarter. Eric Kepler gets it inside the box.
Notre Dame traditionally runs motion rather than plays, and yet they don't always move as much as I think that they should. If they can get their movement and motion going, they are so much more dangerous than when they move the ball and don't move without the ball as much.
Tyler Kimball with possession off the double team. Quick passing and a push from behind. That will stay with Notre Dame. So this defense for Yale back on its heels. As Steve Murphy, part of the second midfield, takes it out for the Irish. Kimball matched up with Pratt, the captain for this Yale squad. Back in the tournament for the first time since '92. Charge as Kepler comes up with the shot attempt, saved by Meyer. And a second chance opportunity for the Irish. In your opinion so far, Jamie, which defense has done the better job, Yale's or Notre Dame's?
Well, Notre Dame hasn't really given up anything that was really easy. They actually probably played pretty good defense, and Yale made great plays. So I'd have to give that nod to Notre Dame right now.
Westy Hopkins battling with a couple vicious stick checks from Peter Johnson, the junior, named to the first team All-Ivy. Dame settles it down. A stall warning, second one of the game for the Irish. Kimball with a couple great moves on Pratt, trying to avoid his defender.
Coach Shea told me today that Pratt is the best short stick middle he has ever coached. Smartest, most athletic, and most competitive.
Now Rogers elects to give it off to Hopkins. Taken away by Yale. As Mark Browson coming up with the turnover, flag flies, the first one of the afternoon. And a loose ball, ground ball picked up. Set up pass in front, Dempster from the play from Gibson. And Yale within one at 5-4.
Great defense by Yale, leading to some transition. A little foul on the play, maybe a little acting job there as the net goes back for a second time. And then you're going to watch the feed inside turns into a loose ball, and watch Gibson. We miss it on this replay. Watch Gibson though on the next replay. He's gonna weave his way through with slickness and skills to find Dempster on the backside pipe, doing what Dempster does best, which is finish.
Dempster with the hat trick, 36 goals on the season now.
That's 3 for 24.
The flag wiped out, even strength. Face-off won by O'Connor, driving through and taken away once again. The cause turnover forced by Yale, and an opportunity for the Bulldogs to have the tie game here this afternoon.
Big play by Yale right there. That went from a fast break right down your throat to a great defensive effort to thwart a goal and put the ball back on the ground for a Yale opportunity.
Alex Otero, the sophomore, coming up with the cause turnover. Yale looking for the tie here with just over 7 minutes left to play in this first half.
Yale's tough-minded. They go down 4-0 in this game, and they just kept doing what they're supposed to do. They got their defense together. Their offense started making plays. They got a couple of bounces, and now they're right back in it.
Gibson, who came into this game the points leader with 56, with a couple assists under his belt for Yale, looking to even this game back up. As McCarthy works inside the box. Gibson again, marked by Randall. Top of the box, Matt Miller, the senior working on the left wing as Gibson backs away. And one thing you're noticing now, Jamie, is the patience by Yale's offense.
Coming into the game, Coach Shea wanted to dominate the possession time, wanted to win the faceoffs, and they don't mind playing the stall warnings. And Gibson is just doing what he does best.
McCarthy tries the wraparound shot that misses high, as it will stay Yale possession, still on the stall warning. One thing Gibson talked about earlier this week in practice was the fact that if you're going to beat Kemp, you beat him high. He's doing his job correctly, Jamie. He's making you go low, and so far in the last couple of minutes, Yale has been striking the scoreboard heavily.
Well, and the other thing is get really in tight shots. I mean, the goals that Dempster is scoring, no goal in the country is really are gonna make saves on. So what they're doing is creating high quality shots.
Dobson matched up with McCarthy. A senior sophomore battle.
This Dobson kid plays really good position defense. He's hard to beat. The Yale middies are not getting a step on him. He plays bump and run style, moves his feet, and doesn't try to take the ball away. Just does an incredible position job.
Top-ranked defense in the country, holding Yale so far. Shot top of the box and misses on the bounce angle. As Miller just missed, but it will stay with Yale.
So Notre Dame is now coming out of the crease, sliding out of the crease, and they're helping in so hard on Dempster that you're starting to see skip pass and lob opportunities. Watch Gibson look for what he just fed before. Lots of those out there.
This Notre Dame squad having a 10-game winning streak snapped in the Big East semis when they lost to St. John's. As that comes out of the box, and a scramble for it, and a turnover by the Bulldogs gives possession on a quick restart for Notre Dame.
Yale, well coached, are making those quick restarts not so quick. As the Notre Dame player picked up the ball, the Yale player blanketed him, and you're supposed to have that 5 yards. The ref wouldn't blow the whistle unless you're 5 yards away, so that's a tactic that teams will do to slow down transition in these types of quick restart possibilities.
The junior Ryan Foley gets it inside the box, far side of the field. As we approach 4:15 left to go in this first half. In this first round NCAA tournament matchup between Yale, the Ivy League champs, going up against one of the Big East powers in Notre Dame, earning a at-large berth. This time Arlott, the sophomore, drives through, bounce shot misses low, nice save by Meyer, and a quick scoop up by Johnson. And in transition, the Bulldogs.
Earlier in the game, I mentioned that Yale was sliding quick, and Notre Dame, it was actually playing into Notre Dame's hands the last couple possessions. Yale hasn't been coming quick at all, and Notre Dame hasn't been making them pay by beating their man for open shots.
Mangan behind the cage, working it for Yale. It's Stephen O'Hara marking him, and a chance now with 3:25 on a critical possession for the Bulldogs. What was thought to be an early blowout by Notre Dame, a 4-0 lead. Yale chipped away, made it 4-2. The closest they've been all game long, within one at 5-4.
It'll be key for Yale to just keep this pace of their tempo going so that Notre Dame can't chip away. Leave this game going in 5-4 down, no problem. Keep the game close so they can be there in the end.
Thornton backs his way out, set up pass, shot that bounces low. As the freshman Flaherty looked to try to tie it up. And Notre Dame calling a timeout with a 5-4 lead and 2:41 left to go in this first half. Tonight, ESPNU lets you know where your favorite team will be playing as the road to the Women's College World Series in Oklahoma City begins. The NCAA Division I Softball Championship Selection Show presented by Capital One on ESPNU, and it's tonight at 10 Eastern. The duo of Matt Gibson and Darren Dempster have been critical. The hat trick by Dempster keeping the Yale offense striking.
This guy just knows how to move in the interior of the offense and how to shoot that ball with an incredible quick release. Very hard to defend. Talked about this in the open. If you're going to be able to stop Yale, you've got to stop their attack.
Dempster coming into this game #1 in the nation in shooting percentage, just over 64%. Coming up with a hat trick now. That's now 34 goals in 10 games. What makes him such an effective player for Yale?
Well, growing up, he played box lacrosse, and box lacrosse will refine your shooting abilities. You're shooting at a smaller goal and smaller confines in box lacrosse. And so therefore, when you take that to the field, it allows you to be much more accurate and used to having less time. Dempster, unbelievable inside finisher, as many of these Canadians are.
As mentioned, 36 goals on the season. Let's take a look at the bracket. The winner of this game moves on to the quarterfinals next week in Philadelphia, as they will take on the defending champion Virginia Cavaliers, led by Steele Stanwyck, Colin Briggs, and Chris Bachler with a couple of goals in their victory over Princeton earlier today. That'll be a tough matchup for either Yale or Notre Dame.
It's always tough to play the defending champions, especially if they can get themselves on a roll like they did last May.
So out of that timeout, a chance for Yale to tie this game up with under 2:30 left to play. As Mahoney at the point to the right wing, gives it off to Gibson, marked by Randall. As McCarthy loses it on the pass, ground ball scoop up as Randall mishandled it. Now physical play as he and Gibson collide. And a nice play by the senior attacker to hold possession for Yale.
What an athletic play by Gibson to come up with that ground ball. Core strength, leg strength, being able to body a much bigger man than Randall. Still come up with the ball.
Yale has not lost a game since March 24th when they lost in 5 overtimes to Princeton, the longest game in their history. Trying to make it 10. Shot that misses on the bounce opportunity as Mahoney misses. And nice job by Kemp to scoop it up on a clearing opportunity. A chance for Notre Dame to strike the scoreboard. Scoreless over 12 minutes are the Irish, which usually their defense, Jamie, is the one keeping their opponents scoreless.
I was talking to Coach Corrigan a couple weeks ago. He told me that they didn't necessarily feel like they were 10-2, but rather they've been in a street fight for 2 months. And they have a tendency to keep people in it because of the way they play, but the defense usually wins out in the end. And like we talked about earlier, their offense was rolling early. They got to get back to that to be able to give themselves a chance.
As Foley marked by Pratt, a little pushing and shoving. With 45 seconds left to go in this first half, a key possession for a possible insurance goal for the Irish. Swarmed in front, Marlette, nice job, picked up by Johnson. A chance for Yale to tie this game up. Numbers for the Bulldogs. Johnson working his way through, elects to give it off to Gibson. 23 seconds, saved by Kemp. A nice job by the junior and a quick clear attempt by the Irish. 15 seconds left to go as Hopkins tackled. Breaks through a double team. Pfeiffer, wide open shot that goes. Notre Dame with a huge goal by Sean Rogers, second of the game with 7.5 seconds left.
Great end-to-end action results in Hopkins coming up with a tough loose ball, wing-to-wing feed, and Rogers with 7 seconds left. There's nothing a coach hates worse than giving up goals at the end of a quarter. What a play by Rogers. Watch him on the backside wing, waiting for the ball, and what a shot. A high to high, dipping a little bit low. Great play.
Coach Kevin Corrigan talking about the quarterback of the attack unit, Rogers, with his second goal tonight, and a big one for Notre Dame as they extend their lead now to 6-4. As Rogers called for it the entire time. Final seconds tick away as Yale down by 2, but the play of Notre Dame late in this first half has them up 6-4. An entertaining first half. Sean Rogers with a pair of goals, including this one to give them a 6-4 lead. It's the end of the first half. Let's send it back to the Lacrosse studio for the Warrior halftime report with Anish Shroff, Quint Kesnick, and Paul Rabel.
John, thank you, and welcome to the Warrior halftime report. Earlier today in Charlottesville, defending champion Virginia taking on Princeton. You saw Steele Stanwyck, reigning Tewaaraton Trophy winner. Virginia in transition. Paul, what happens here?
Virginia was really able to push transition several times in the first half. They capitalized twice. They need more of that moving forward in the playoffs to make an impact and run to the Final Four. And then
Quint, this was the final play of the first half. Chris LaPierre to Steele Stanwyck.
Great pass, aggressive mindset with about 10 seconds to go. 5-2 lead entering the second half, but here comes Princeton.
Tom Schreiber with a goal to make it a 1-goal lead. And then Princeton getting a chance at the end, down one of the final seconds for Sonnenfeld. He's 6'6", 250. It's a lot of body behind that shot, but how about the sacrifice made by Chris LaPierre?
Virginia's defense played really well today. Rob Fortunato had a solid game, but the offense kind of struggling right now. They've only hit double digits one time in their last 4 games.
The defending champs still get to the quarterfinals. They'll play the winner of Yale and Notre Dame. Anish Shroff with Quint Kesnick and Paul Rabel, the voices that you just heard. Virginia moves on. They're awaiting that Yale-Notre Dame winner. It's a 2-goal game at the half. This is a Yale team. They were down early, 4 goals. That's a lot against Notre Dame. Able to come back. This is still very much a game.
Yeah, Andy Shea calls a timeout down 4-0, and I really like the way this Yale team kind of found their game. They've been relying on Gibson to feed Dempster. That's their really, the key to their offense. I think if you're Notre Dame, you have to give Dempster a little more respect. But that goal late is going to hurt. Sean Rogers scoring with under 15 seconds off a poor shot. Bright spot for Notre Dame, Connor Doyle, freshman attackman. He's just been aggressive around the goal. He's got 2 goals. You'll see this one unassisted as he just pushes to the goal. Strong left-handed move and a little whip shot. Kind of uses the defenseman as a screen. So he's been a bright spot. Scoring goals for Notre Dame never comes easy.
Paul, what's your big takeaway from the first 30 minutes?
Well, Gibson and Dempster have been as crafty as they possibly can. Dempster has 3 goals this half. Notre Dame, you look in here, the way they're playing defense is almost on this inverted zone. And what they need to do going forward, I think, is really just lock Dempster. He's made too much of an impact so far offensively with 3 goals. We identified him as the main threat. Notre Dame should change up their slide package regarding him and go more adjacent and just lock him off.
Dempster, one of the hottest players in the nation. He had 11 goals in the Ivy League tournament. If you're keeping score, that's now 14 goals in his last 10 quarters of play. Sean Rogers, strong first half. He had 2 tallies for the Irish. They have a 2-goal lead.
San Diego State, football. Nebraska, baseball.
USC, soccer. At Enterprise Rent-A-Car, we hire more new college graduates every year than any other company.
And many of us played college sports too.
Like me.
Like me.
And me.
Now we're all on the same team. Yours.
Enterprise is proud to be an official corporate partner of the NCAA. Teamwork. Let us show you what that means.
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
Feeling the grind every day, doing the pull-ups, pulling up so much body weight. I love it. I love the challenge. I love getting in there and scrapping and bleeding and fighting. And preparation is just as beautiful as competition to me. Every single day I look forward to either tying up my laces and, or pulling up my singlet straps. I love it all.
There are over 400,000 NCAA student athletes, and just about all of us will be going pro in something other than sports.
This is the computer ICU. It's what happens to your computer when it gets infected, slows down, and crashes. And if you don't do something, your computer could wind up here in the computer graveyard. But it could be saved with mycleanpc.com.
Is your computer running slow? Are you frustrated with error messages, blue screens, computer freezes, and crashes? Then go to mycleanpc.com for your free diagnosis today. Then just activate the mycleanpc.com software to fix it in minutes. And computer specialists are available while you're online.
The best thing about mycleanpc.com was it had a free diagnosis.
My computer is 100% faster. You know immediately what the problem is, and the problem is solved right then and there.
Download your free diagnosis today at mycleanpc.com.
This halftime report is presented by Warrior. Check us out at warrior.com. All hail.
Yale's Darren Dempster had 11 goals on 12 shots in the Ivy League tournament. He was great in the first half. A hat trick already for the Bulldogs. They're down 2 to Notre Dame. Earlier today, Johns Hopkins taking on Stony Brook. Hopkins, the 2 seed, 10-0 at Homewood Field in the NCAA tournament under Dave Petrobalo, their head coach. First quarter, Zach Palmer, Chris Boland,